Okay, so Lucas, we finished recording for the day. Why the fuck am I still here?
Because, Karl, there is such a thing as the Karl's Corner podcast.
Oh, there is, yeah, it's back. Okay, so for people who don't know, a few months ago now, I think maybe over a year, in fact, we were contacted by a company to start a podcast, and they signed a deal with me that was incredibly advantageous for me, because I never had to mention it or advertise it. And then for some inexplicable reason, the company that didn't stipulate in our contract that we had to advertise that we did a podcast for them, folded, and the podcast died. And we were kind of left in limbo. So a few people like that. I think I found out after the fact that our podcast on that service was like the only one people actually listened to. So thank you to the fans who did that. But myself and Lucas, who's on call right now, say hi, Lucas.
Hi, Lucas.
We just sat on that the podcast stuff we'd recorded for a few months now, not really knowing what to do with it, up until yesterday, our time, where Lucas, you figured out a way to get it all online, didn't you?
Yeah, so I managed to get it all uploaded to Spotify and approved and everything, so it's live on there.
It is, yes. So Lucas, would you like to just walk people through the process you did there and tell people where they can find it while I take a big sip of this tea?
I mean, it's not too much of a process, just getting an RSS feed and things like that. Boring things that I don't want to, go into details with, but essentially, yeah, if you go onto Spotify now, you can search for Karl's Corner, and you will see a picture of Karl to confirm that that's the right podcast. Karl's face will be right there. There's I think there's 27 episodes there.
Yeah, we couldn't track them all down because we didn't really keep track of them, so we assumed, if they're uploaded to a website, this website's not going anywhere. But we saved what we could, and there is now around 50 hours of audio of myself and other people involved with the channel just chatting various amounts of shit that people can go listen to at their leisure. Any thoughts about that, Lucas? Because we do chat a lot of shit in that podcast, don't we?
Yeah, we chat a lot of shit in that podcast, but it's a very entertaining listen if I do say so myself. Going back through them and trying to figure out what the titles for all the older ones were and the descriptions for them and stuff. Just having a little listen. I personally think it's a very fun podcast to go listen to.
There was some dumb stuff in there. One that springs to mind went this whole spiel about how when they shut down the Drive Club servers, they should just turn it into Mad Max. And rather than shut them down, just slowly shrink it in like a battle royale game. And just turn it into Mad Max car combat. And there's loads of dumb stuff like that. So we've saved as much of that audio as we can, and it's very important to me that you, our lovely audience at home, doesn't have to ever pay extra to access things that we do, which is one of the reasons that I stipulated that I never had to talk about the Brew podcast in our videos, because I didn't want to have the thing of saying, we have a podcast, and then people looking at it and go, I've got to pay for it. So as much as we could save of that podcast, because I also had it signed into my contract that I own everything after the fact. I honestly don't know why that company signed with me. I got such a good deal. So I can do whatever I want with it, which is put it up for free for everyone to listen to. And in fact, I'm actually losing money because I have to pay to host all that shit.
That is true, yes.
And that can lead us into Lucas. Because we thought, we're doing this nice thing. Here's 50 hours of just content freely available. We could have charged for it. We could have put it on a paywall on Patreon. Which I think totally. A lot of other YouTubers do that, don't they? They have podcasts and stuff on Patreon.
Yes, a lot of people either have all of their things behind a Patreon paywall or some exclusive shows behind them as well.
Yeah, we have no exclusive stuff that you can't listen to. Everything we do is raw cuts of videos, they're free. We could put them on Patreon. We thought, this would be a nice thing, especially now everyone's in quarantine. Here's 50 hours of stuff you can listen to extra for free.
It is, in fact, I figured out it's around 54 hours and 22 minutes.
Okay, and we thought, that's a really nice thing for people to do. And what happened, Lucas, when we announced it?
Well, to be fair, for the most part, everyone was very grateful and thank you, this is a very good thing to do. And then there were just a few salty people that didn't like the fact that we were on Spotify.
As a reminder, I am losing money for this. I am paying money to host this content, and now people are shitting on me for it. It's fucking free. I've spoken to a lot of people who are on YouTube, and I have been advised against virtually everything I've done with this channel. One of the biggest sticking points being giving content away for free. And it dawned on me that if I had just set up a Patreon and put all the raw cuts and the podcast behind there on Patreon, and instead of releasing it all for free, I'd have just said, I'm going to release half of the stuff we have locked behind Patreon for free to help people, like, pass the time during quarantine, I would have gotten less shit.
Oh, a lot less shit. And the thing is, like, we've even mentioned saying, like, oh, this is all going to be behind paywalls now, and people are going like, yeah, Karl, that's a great thing.
And in that vein, I'd like to announce that the podcast will be continuing. It is going to continue being free. I'm going to continue losing money on every episode that we make because I'll be paying everyone who stars in it. Not as much as I could when Brew were paying me. God, those guys are idiots. They'll be paid, I think, is it £50 we agreed to?
I think about that, yeah.
Yeah, like £50 to just appear on the podcast and just chat some shit with me. The episodes will be uploaded on Spotify, where they can be listened to for free by anybody. I'm a really bad at business, that
So, Karl, are you planning on making any money off this at any point?
I'm going to try to, and that's something I wanted to bring up, because on YouTube, I think I've drawn like a very clear line in the sand that I don't really want to do sponsorships on the channel. We don't really need to. The channel makes enough to pay everybody a fair wage. With the addition of the podcast, Lucas can now join myself, Brad, and Nisha with fully supporting themselves with things related to the channel, correct?
Hopefully so, yeah.
And I'm glad that I be able to provide that for my friends. But with YouTube and it being 10, 15 minute long videos, the idea of putting a 2-minute ad in and then that ad just completely destroying the end user experience, not a big fan of that. With a podcast, I'm a lot more open to the idea because it's an hour, 2 hours of content. A 2-minute ad in an hour of content that I'm paying money to make and making no money from, I don't feel as bad.
The thing is as well, some of the podcasts have been over 3 hours long. So for the sake of a minute long sponsor, it doesn't cut up the process quite as much as a 10-15 minute video.
Yeah, and my approach to YouTube has always been the same, where we put a single ad at the start of every video because that pays enough. The way we're doing it now, and there should be no ads on the Spotify podcast because I don't think it's actually hosted on Spotify server, so they don't want ads against it, do they? They just allow people the option to play it. So even if you get the free version of Spotify, there shouldn't be any ads on our content. So with that in mind, I'd like to formally announce that if there are any advertisers out there who want to work with us on the podcast, I am open to a collaboration. On the proviso that you can agree to my, I guess admittedly quite stringent rules when it comes to advertising stuff. And it's probably not the best thing for me to do to say that after saying, the last company I signed with went out of fucking business. But here's hoping, because we can pull back the curtain on this a little bit and people might be wondering, Karl, why is it that every fucking YouTuber I listen to is making a podcast? And especially now during this quarantine, you may have noticed the thing that went viral a while ago is every podcast mic on Amazon is sold out. And that is because if you manage to get a sponsorship on a podcast, you can earn 3 times what you would on YouTube. And I don't want to name any names here, but I have heard from reliable sources. If I know people who do this shit for a living, that bigger podcasts can earn $10, $20, $30,000 from a single 2-minute ad read.
And as well, let's bear in mind that I've listened to podcasts before where they have maybe, say, a 2 to 5 minute segment where they have 4 or 5 sponsors.
Oh yeah. Not to mention as well that, as you previously alluded to, some of those podcasts will be locked behind a paywall.
Oh yeah, that as well.
So the person is in effect being paid twice, which I don't agree with. So my approach to it has always been, we can make money one way or we can make money the other way. For example, in regards to YouTube, whenever we get approached by advertisers, I always say, if we take this money, I want to turn ads off on the YouTube video, so we're only making money from you, and no other ads will air in that video except for yours. And I think that's a pretty fair way of approaching it, and to my knowledge, no other YouTuber really offers that, because obviously why would I turn down the ability to make more money? Why would I not have ads on and a sponsorship, and then have a Patreon that I make money from? And I'm not about that life. The channel makes enough, and hopefully this podcast, if people like it and want to listen to it, is free either way. And the plan is, if the podcast ever reaches a point those other podcasts where we're getting those big, juicy sponsorship deals, I can share that money with the people on the channel. And as always, in keeping with my commitment to transparency, if we ever do have sponsorships on a podcast, one of the things I'm going to absolutely insist upon is that I can share how much we're being paid to do that and the terms of the deal, whatever they may be, so that people know exactly how we reach the deal and why that person is advertising, if they ever do. Because I've had that stipulation in place the entire time I've been on YouTube, and we've never had a single person accept it. I'm hoping that maybe with podcasting being a bit bigger than YouTube at the moment, maybe we'll be able to like convince at least one advertiser.
Hopefully so, yeah.
Like maybe one who sells some booze. That'd be nice. Is there any alcohol advertisers out there? You want to send some free booze? I'll do that. That'd be sweet. That'd be awesome. And we get paid for it as well. Man. Can you imagine if we were like super evil? If I was like a really evil YouTuber and I'm like, fuck it, this is going on Patreon. And then I just took an ad from like every shitty fucking company that does this stuff. I'd be getting paid 3 times.
Way more than that.
Yeah, well, because I'd be getting paid for the sponsorship, I'd be getting paid for Patreon, and then I'd be getting paid from YouTube when I put the trailer up. Instead, I'm paying to let people listen to my content. Man. Having a moral compass, mate, it's not very profitable. But at least it's fun.